Hey, how's it going? It's Grant with the Garden of Eater, and today is your master class on shrimp breeding. Basically, not what I give the average basic information to all of the new beginners. I will have some things that are great for both beginners and advanced, but pretty much we just did like a little touch up for beginners, and this is more advanced for those who are looking to learn something that didn't pick up on anything new in the last one. So um, Shelby will be joining us soon. She's feeding the baby. And then we've got a bunch of gifts to give away today. And nobody really guessed at all on how many tanks we have that are empty for the other giveaway. So comment in the other video, last week's live stream, to get in on that. So that's totally up for grabs. If anybody had guessed at all, they would have won that one. So maybe next week. But anyways, for your master class, the first thing that I want to start with is there's a lot of different ways to breed shrimp. However, for me and Shelby, for us, what really I think took us to the next level on going from a hobbyist to actually seeing this being like potentially a full-time career like it is today wasn't until I started doing, I think I got some ice cream on me. Oh my God, how embarrassing is that, huh? That's why I gotta wait for Shelby. I just came right to the camera after eating ice cream. All right. So what took us from the next level was going ahead and doing massive water changes. I can't remember who exactly it was, but there was a breeder who said they were doing 50% water changes every week, and they were having, much success, and they were having to add any additive minerals or anything like that. And the cleaner the water, the higher baby survival rate and everything like that. But then on top of that, I was having a lot of issues with algae throughout my moss. And I was also going through and trying to take care of that at the same time. So when I started doing my massive water changes, I ended up having more babies than I thought. I ended up having babies throughout the year. There wasn't any break in the wintertime. Like right now, there's that whole myth where the shrimp will stop breeding during this time of the year. And there's all the barometric pressure and everything like that. And I found that, I think myself personally, when I got into the hobby, I saw that and I was like, there's no point in even doing water changes and taking care of the shrimp the way I do during the breeding season, because they're just not going to produce anything. And the first year that we took shrimp keeping professionally, or I was doing it full time, I had to get into a schedule and I got into a routine. And when it hit the winter time, I was like, man, if I break my routine and I don't keep up with it, it's going to get really hard to get back into the routine again come springtime, when I need to get back into breeding. So I just bred throughout the entire winter, and what ended up happening was the shrimp just kept breeding the entire winter. Now there was some shrimp that didn't breed that winter, but there's also some shrimp that I don't have breeding in the summer. So I would say on average, maybe 1 or 2 tanks more for the 500 tanks that I have are actually, more stale in the wintertime than any other time of the year. But that, again, might just be on me because the holidays come up. We've done quite a few shows, but I've been on it because we got the upgraded system. So I haven't really seen any reduction in breeding this year, but I find that if you feed a little bit more and you do larger water changes, more consistent water changes, whether it's in the winter time or any time throughout the entire year, you're going to get more breeding. So it really was when we started doing those 50% water changes that I started seeing where we could breed enough shrimp that I don't have to buy. I don't need to, rely on importing and reselling to keep up with the demand. I definitely realized, hey, like if I'm ever going to sell red crystals and orange-eyed black tigers on a Black Friday sale and throughout the entire year, I've got to set up, 4 or 5, maybe 10 tanks of those. And so, yeah, this year we were successful in keeping those up the entire sale. So we actually sold some of them at the Reptile show last weekend that showed up on Sunday, and we didn't have them there Saturday. So it was quite nice to meet the demand for those finally, or to meet the demand of any of the shrimp the entire year. And for that, I thank the 50% water changes. So if you're a little diligent on doing your water changes or reluctant to do the bigger ones or anything like that, be a little bit more progressive with it and you'll do a lot better. You'll have more shrimp babies. You'll have higher shrimp baby survival, making it to the size where you want to sell them and stuff like that. Also, your shrimp overall will get a little bit bigger too. I noticed that, especially in my competition tanks where I do maybe a little bit larger than 50% water changes, if I'm being honest, like 60 to 70 on those ones. I do see a little bit increased growth. For some of the tanks, like the Yellow King Kongs, I don't even bother with. Those guys, they produce so much. So I only do like 50% and they still get massive in size. But some of the tigers and stuff like that, they get a little bit smaller overall. I mean, not really, but they take forever to grow. So the larger water changes definitely increases their growth rate, and I notice it with them. And then you have, like, I recommend the Salty Shrimp GH Plus as my number one go-to, the most bang for your buck minerals out there. The one thing I don't really like recommend to the new people is I pre-mix a lot of my minerals in some RO water and kind of let them break down and melt down and dissolve fully into a smaller container. And then if I need to make more water than I need for that day that I didn't make the night before, I've got access to quicker water. So like the Plamsky GH mineral liquid, that's ready to use right away. The salty shrimps, they're not quite as concentrated, so it is like a little. Haven't really mixed it down. I just kind of get it to where I dump a kilo of it into one of our smaller trash cans, and then I just have it to where it's fully dissolved. I don't see any white powder anymore, and then I go ahead and add. I have, like, I don't know if you've been to Dickey's Barbecue, but they give you a little yellow cup with the meal, and I use those to measure out the water for my cans. And it's different every time I make the batch of water. So I kind of just eyeball it on the first one, and then I know the water level to do all the other ones. So it's not really something I talk about and, recommend beginners to do. But when you're doing a lot of tanks, it surely helps to have more minerals on hand. So we got a question: how big are your tanks and how many shrimp do you keep for an optimal survival rate with Neos? So we've got anywhere from 10 gallon to the 275 gallon IBC totes outside. I recommend that you do 1 to 2 shrimp per gallon to start out. And then from there, you kind of just build up your colony. That's if you're just barely slowing out. But if you're doing, oh man, I'm so sorry. If you're going for, the most shrimp breeding as fast as possible, of course, you can put more shrimp into the tank. That will quickly build up your colony even faster. I'm just not a big person to practice that. I always start off small, let the colonies build up on their own. That way they have plenty of little biofilm and microorganisms on their own to kind of grow up and build up that colony on their own without having to overfeed and risk pollution of water and stuff like that. With the tubs outside, I threw 25 black rows into one of those tubs and got them up to like 3,000 by the end of the year. So it's definitely possible. However, with like an already established colony, I kind of just keep like my best 5 males, and then from there, how many good females do you have? If they're all stunner females and they're nice breeder size, keeping them around. But the shrimp will let you know when the colony gets too big for the tank. they'll just like stop breeding out of nowhere. If you've got a lot of shrimp in the tank and they just stop breeding, there's probably too many shrimp in the tank, probably too many large males to be specific. Sorry, that was all over the place. I'm trying to multitask while Shelby's not here and read questions and comments. Bear with me, people. So Laura says, remind us, how do you schedule your water changes? Do you do so many per day, all in one day? So for us, we have almost 500 tanks. We're working on that goal by the end of the year. So I try to get like 50 of them done in a day. And I do that 4 days a week. For me, I don't really like try to schedule it out solidly. I more so do, I go from like Jaden's room to the hallway to Layla's room to the kitchen to the rack by the front door to the rack behind me to the 110-gallon tank rack. And of course, the rack behind me takes 2 days. So I finish off topping off the kitchen or something like that, and I move on to this rack and get it all done or something like that, right? But if I'm able to do more than 50 tanks on the 110-gallon rack, I'll do more than 50. But my main goal or main average is about 50 tanks every 4 days out of the week. All right, so I was just talking about mixing up the water and making up your own liquid minerals. Again, I don't have the exact science down for that, so please experiment yourself with making your own elixir. And then cleaning filters. I was talking with somebody today. They just can't get their foggy tank, cleaned up. I've got a Stardust tank that I overfeed it. So if you have a cloudy, and a lot of times we used to call these a bacteria bloom, where we used to have, so much buildup of organics that little plume, it's actually a bacteria plume. So you have to kind of get rid of all the organics, stop overfeeding and stuff like that to reduce that. But for the Stardust, they like the overfeeding, and they just kind of do better with more food in the tank. So they're just kind of always going to be a little bit, murky because of that. But if you've, upgraded the filtration or something like that, you can definitely get it to clear up. But you've got to make sure that the filtration itself doesn't get depleted, and that the beneficial bacteria isn't destroyed. I've used the method where you've just rinsed it underneath the tap water and cleaned them out that way, and it really hasn't killed off any of the bacterial any of the beneficial bacteria in the filter to make a difference in the tank. But if you've got the bacteria bloom already, the best thing to do is squeeze out the sponge filters, get them completely clean, and do like a 90% water change. And you might have to do this a couple times, once a week for 3 or 4 weeks to get it completely down. But if you reduce your feeding, that bacteria bloom will go away. But it's 100% there because of how many organics you have in your water column. So getting that down is definitely doable, but it's not something I want to do in my Stardust tank. And then I got another question. Have you thought about an automated water change system? Yes, I thought about it, but in our home, it's just not something I'm willing to do. It would take up more space, more living space, especially. And that is definitely going to be something. See, I keep getting like distracted, but I missed that. And then I don't weigh it up on a scale. I just the tubs are in like 3 kilogram jars. So I dump in like a third of it at a time. Sometimes I dump in more than a kilo for sure, like a half of the container into a 32-gallon trash can. But yeah. So the automated water change systems thing will definitely be part of our future. But I figured if I can maintain 500 tanks without a water change system, and we're able to move into a new warehouse or something like that, and I threw 1,000 tanks onto automated water change systems, I can maintain and take care of everything, and it wouldn't be an issue. Oh man, everything just jumped. All right. What do you think of the powered sponge filters? So I've got some of them that we just set up in our Aqua L videos. They are great. They have gotten a little bit clogged where I've had to rinse them out, but the flow wasn't completely reduced. So as long, and it didn't happen while I was on vacation, and it certainly, I saw it being reduced over a few days. So as long as you keep an eye on your tanks and there isn't a whole lot of gunk built up and stuff into the aquarium, you shouldn't have any issue. But they're definitely great. But for me, having 500 aquariums, I don't think it's something that I would implement in our setup because the power for all of that would be pretty crazy. So I like the Alita air pumps that go ahead and can power 90 to 100 tanks on one pump, or even more. There's bigger pumps than that, right? And if you're able to save money doing it that way, I'm definitely going to go ahead and do it that way, and it's more efficient. I think the bacteria bloom is from lack of ammonia to convert. I don't know about that, but I'm not a chemist, so I've seen a lot of foggy, cloudy tanks in some of the breeding setups just recently at some of the fish room tours, and they're overfeeding like crazy. So I would say there's a ton of ammonia in there, and they still got cloudy tanks. So I don't know. I started cycling 3 Neocaridina tanks 23 days ago. The GH is reading 9 with API drop kit. My TDS measure says 155. I'm going to calibrate it tomorrow after I get the solution. I think the meter's off. The meter probably isn't that far off. I would say your GH kit might be the issue, because like the drops, you got to take them with a grain of salt. Most of them are 20 to 40% off. So I more go based off of the TDS measure rather than the API drops, because I feel like a calibrated TDS meter is a lot better than going off of the drops. There's no real calibration for the drop fluids. So when you get to the GH plus salty shrimp minerals, I find that about 1 GH is 30 TDS, and I find that at 160 TDS falls into that 6 GH, but at 155, I mean, you're definitely going to be close enough there. It could be, less than 30 TDS for 1 GH, especially if I'm at 6 for 160. So kind of need to redo that math, but I would definitely go based off of the calibration of the TDS pen if you get it calibrated. Would you maybe explain a bit more of your observations on the different color lines in Neos? Like, how many are there? Cherry, throw, blue, yellow, orange, and green, and there's the Bloody Mary line with the blue. So this is definitely something that I've talked about before and gone over with, the Neocaridina genetics. I will have Shelby write this down, because like I could go on about this for like an entire live stream. Rather than write it down, I'm going to take a picture for later. So I'll take a picture of you guys. But there's a lot, because we've got so many different lines that you can get out of different Neocaridina lines. But there's the chart live stream that you could go to. That would probably be the best one. If you want to go and look up that one, maybe 2 or 3 years old. It is one of our more watched live streams that we have done, but I'm pretty sure I go into all of the Neocaridina and possibly on where they've come from and how they're made. Or if you ask it later on and we've got time, I'll go over that more. I'm just trying to knock out tonight's criteria. Have you heard of the greenleaf algae eating shrimp from Dan's Fish? No, I haven't. I know Dan brings in a lot of different kind of these wild type non-native or non-morph shrimp, like the Siloaces and stuff like that. So I should definitely pay attention more, but I just don't have any empty tanks and any spare time. Any tips on dealing with algae blooms? Algae blooms happen for 3 reasons. 1, your lights are on for too long, or they're too bright, too intense. You could try leaving them on for less time during the day, or you could try raising them up a little bit higher so that way they're not as intense. You're overfeeding, so reduce the amount of, I'm not saying you're overfeeding, that could be one of the causes. So reduce the amount of food you feed, maybe less food and more times a day rather than shorter or larger amounts of food, less frequently during the day. So the other thing is water changes. Do larger water changes or do them more frequently. All right, so the next one on the list is nets for every tank. If you can see behind us, this is a net. This is a net. There's a net over there. There's a net over there. Cross-contamination is definitely something that you want to try and avoid as much as possible. There's not a lot of illness or parasites or anything like that I have to worry about throughout the house. I'm more, concerned about algae and hitchhikers from one tank to another. Like when you use a net to catch shrimp out of this tank and you get a little tiny baby in it, you don't see it and it's in the mesh of the tank, and then you go and swoop into a different tank and another part of the house, and then that baby gets in and you didn't see it. Now all of a sudden you've got a baby in that tank that really shouldn't be in there. Could you explain orange-eyed royal blue tiger with a could you cross an orange-eyed royal blue tiger with a purple metallic tiger to get orange-eyed purple metallic? Yes, you absolutely could. You wouldn't get it in the first generation. You would have to cross back F1s with one another and then take those that would produce the orange-eyed, but not all of them would carry the orange-eyed gene in theory. So sometimes you are better crossing back with the orange-eyed royal blue tiger. So it's just going to take you quite a few generations of selective breeding and try to get out that right color and with the orange eyes. The orange eyes will be easier with this situation. So then also with cross-contamination, the way we do our water changes is I don't actually clean the siphon between each tank. I label out all the tanks in order, 1 to however many tanks are on that rack. I start with my best tank, and those are usually my best breeders, my competition grade shrimp or something like that. And then I go to my worst tank, and my worst tank is usually something that might have an issue with algae or possibly like I just brought in some new shrimp. And those basically go at the end of the line, so that way they don't pass on anything to the better tanks. And then everyone always asks me about foods and which one I recommend the best and everything like that. And my answer always is go with variety. Pretty much anything without copper, the shrimp are going to go eat. Last week, we just opened up a box of ultra fresh shrimp foods, and pretty much gave me a bunch of boxes. I went ahead and put a container on every single rack. So that way, when I'm wanting to go through the house and do any culling or take photos or anything like that, I can just really quick, boom, grab the container, feed the shrimp and do whatever I got to do, right? The bigger bags and stuff like that, they kind of block the light on top of the tanks of our bulk shrimp food. So it's really nice to be able to have food active and ready whenever, but at the same time, variety is key. So we've got a lot of the shrimp envy foods, a lot of the Plamsky foods, a lot of the glass garden foods that are in a rotation right now. Usually I keep about 7 foods on rotation. Right now we've got a bunch of cobalt shrimp food, and as well as like more than usual glass garden foods that we usually have. There's a lot of festive ones that we got for the holidays, some of the pumpkin and carrot and the leaf ones. So definitely want to mix up the variety and change up the diet, but good quality foods are always going to be great to have. But mixing it up, nobody wants to eat steak and lobster every single day for every single meal. You're gonna get tired of it. So give your shrimp something fun, interesting and different to eat. We fed our shrimp some turkey after Thanksgiving. That was a big hit, and the video did quite well as on YouTube also. Then when we feed, take advantage of culling. This is something I talk about all the time, but a lot of the foods, you want to use larger foods when you worry about culling and stuff like that. With the smaller foods, and I used to love snowflake food and stuff like that for taking photos, but when I got better at taking photos, I realized snowflake food really isn't that good because all the shrimp kind of like spread out, and then you're not really able to get all the shrimp in focus. So when you're culling and stuff like that or taking photos, you want to use like the bigger pieces of pellets and stuff like that. So that way there's not one shrimp that can just be a jerk, take the food, run off into the back. Some of the foods that kind of break up, like the snowflake, some of the shrimp will just grab their piece and then boom, run off into the back with it. And you'll not be able to take a photo of it, or you'll never see that it's ugly and you should have got it out of the tank. So definitely take advantage of your larger foods for culling. And then another thing I want to talk about is like when adding new shrimp, we've been using the Shrimp Fit. It's got the beta-glucan in it. It's just going to help with the immune system and give them a little bit of a jump start on acclimating and adapting to your water parameters. So on top of that, if you have like a large colony that you just got, or somebody's getting out of the hobby and they didn't really put that much effort into the shrimp at the end of their hobby, I don't know what to call it, just at the very end of their hobby, they didn't put that much work into it, and you got these secondhand colonies of shrimp now. A lot of times you'll get like bacterial infections where one of them got sick, their immune system was weakened from all the stress of shipping or something like that. Maybe they got too warm in transit. Maybe one did die in transit and kind of fouled up the bag a little bit, ammonia spike, and their immune system was compromised from it. The cure, that's something that just this year we picked up from Plamsky, and we have been using for any shrimp that we think have had any bacterial infections. We haven't had any for quite a few months now, but when we first got all of the shrimp from Plamsky, it was kind of one of those dire, urgent situations. We didn't have a lot of time to get all of the shrimp evacuated out of there. So the shrimp were caught kind of in a hurry, and because of that, we had a little bit of issue. There's some substrate in the bags, and when that happens, you can definitely get some bacterial infections. So we kind of had to use the cure to get a hold of that. And then with some of the tanks, it did end up coming, or we had an issue like 2 or 3 months down the line when I tried to go from his minerals over to our minerals. So the shrimp might have, stressed out a little bit from going at his TDS levels down to mine. So is definitely something that we used again and again. Within 4 days, it fixed it up, and we weren't having any deaths or any issues like that. So cure and the beta-glucan, as well as the aquachar, definitely something that I would have in your medicine cabinets when keeping shrimp. And then we've got the genetics. So in crossbreeding, there's always going to be anomalies and those rare shrimp out, and everybody wants to know how to make new and creative lines, and they ask me the best way and everything like that. And for me, that's what I'm trying to do. And the way we're able to accomplish that is I literally have so many different lines of tigers and tibies and tai-tai-bees, and anytime something new comes out, we've got to get it. And then we put it through the ringer and we cross it with everything. We throw it with yellow King Kongs and tangerine tigers and see how fastly their tibies can reproduce and how many phenotypes come out of that and everything like that. And really the best way to make a new line is just to get lucky, right? There's genetic mutations, and you can always get something new off of a mutation. And pretty much it's just something that's going to happen no matter what through nature. However, it's very rare. But there's so many people keeping shrimp, eventually it's going to happen. So for me, I see it as like little scratch off cards. You're not going to win mega millions or anything like that. However, you know, each one of the tanks being a scratch off card, you might win big on a little tank where you get, you know, a shrimp that nobody's ever seen before. You're able to, you know, maybe get another one later down the line or crossbreed that one with some other of its relatives. And then you're able to develop and make your own line. Like, that's the best way. Also crossbreeding, having like a Skittles tank for Caridina. My cull tanks, I get these weird metallic bronze, copper, weird looking shrimp pop out of them all the time. And I don't know who the parents were. I don't know the exact genetics on it and who crossed on what and how many times this shrimp has been into that genetics and stuff like that. But if you want to do and make something new, definitely start a Skittles tank, but then you're not going to know the genetics and how to recreate it. And I think a lot of these new lines of shrimp that are out there and the breeders, like the yellow King Kongs and the Calcios, maybe they didn't share the recipe on how to, or Taiwan bees, maybe they didn't share the recipe on how to make them because they didn't know what two shrimp actually crossed together to get what they got. Maybe it was just a massive cull tank, and on one day they saw this shrimp running around. They grabbed it, bred it with another one that looked like it, created a new line, then had another mutation off of it or something like that, right? The ghost and stuff like that. Who knows where these shrimp came from? I do know that my my blue eyes and my red eyes, they came from crossing a brand new shrimp that I never got with some shrimp in a tank that I had way too many of them. So we just got the cheetahs breeding. I took like the first batch of cheetahs and I threw a female or two shrimp into the steel tank. And the steel tank ended up getting a female of the cheetahs. It got pregnant. I moved it into the tank right next to it. And the coolest batch of phenotypes of shrimp I ever gotten. And I didn't know that that was going to happen until... until I put them together and bred them out and was able to achieve that. It was just lucky. So then we've got your lines like tibies, Michelins, tai-tai-bees, and double pigments. These are the genetic questions that I get a lot of the time, and I'm going to have to blow my nose in a little bit. I'm struggling. And a little, I'll get up for it. Come sit down. Give me the baby. And so I'm just gonna retouch on those. One of the other days I commented, "What do you get?" or made a post, "What do you get when these two shrimp cross?" And somebody says, "Shelby told me it was Michelins," and I thought that was funny because that's one of the ongoing jokes is. I'll ask Shelby a little refresher pop-up quiz, and the first question always is, What's a Michelin? So Shelby, what's a Michelin?
It's you'd think I would know this by now. I don't know if you've asked me probably like 200 times. This is like the worst day to ask me because like I struggled all day today too. You're terrible for doing this. It is a cross between a crystal and a Taiwan bee. A crystal and a, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You were starting to double guess yourself, and I'm like, no, that's absolutely right. So, yes, a Michelin shrimp is a crystal shrimp that is crossed with a Taiwan bee. It looks like a crystal shrimp still, but it has the genetics. It is heterozygous for Taiwan bees. So when you cross two Michelin shrimp together, the babies, you will get 25% just crystal shrimp that do not have any Taiwan bee genetics. But then you'll get 50% of them that come out Michelins, but again, they look like crystals, so they look like the ones that do not have the Taiwan bee genetics. So you really can't tell which one's which after that. But you will get 25% Taiwan bees. The Taiwan bees will have the lowest baby survival rate because they are double pigment. Double pigment is when two layers of pigments basically overlap one another. So the shadow pandas are the best example of this. They call them shadow bees, and all Taiwan bees are called shadow bees, but the shadow panda is the best example. Blue bolt's a great example as well, where you have the white pigment, but over the white you have the blue, and they're both moody. So sometimes your shadow pandas can look incredible, and sometimes they can look like duds, where they might not have much blue to them, if any at all. So if you're trying to get that double pigment, it definitely need the lower pH to have the higher percentage baby survival rate possible. With crystal shrimp, you don't need to go that low. You can get away with like 6.4 pH and still get pretty high baby survival rate. But once you get to like 6.4 with Taiwan bees, the baby survival rate is very, very low. So the lower pH is definitely going to help you a lot more. The way to guarantee that you get Michelins is by crossing male Taiwan bees back with your Michelins or female crystal shrimp. They will all be guaranteed Michelin shrimps. Of course, when you cross the Taiwan bee with the Michelins, you will get up to 50% Taiwan bees.
Did you answer this question? Would you wait 7 days to feed the shrimp fit after getting Neocaridina, or feed them a little day one?
I would feed them a very small pinch of it on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Pretty much throughout the first water change. I don't feed them the first week, and I'm talking like a tiny pinch. Like, just get your finger into it and then dip it into the tank, or get a real tiny spoon. I believe it comes with a little spoon, but don't use the full spoon. Use very microscopic doses. Just enough that it kind of covers, the powder covers like a quarter of the tank, and then swirls around and it'll get everywhere. The shrimp will find it. They will find it. You don't need that much of it.
Have a good night, Richard.
And after day 7, you can do a water change and then feed like normal.
Catahulus says, are orange-eyed shadows a thing?
Yes, they are. Over in Germany, there's orange-eyed galaxy pintos also now. So the sky's the limit on orange-eyed shrimp. They're already a thing.
Tube Dog said, how much Brightwell substrate would you recommend for a low pH? Would you recommend a tank with little substrate or a lot of substrate?
So the more substrate that you put into the aquarium, the longer that pH is going to be low and stable. So for our tanks, I love it right above the black rim, so that way you don't have any issues with the shrimp going under it. But there's plenty of breeders out there that just barely cover the bottom layer of the tank, and that will buffer the pH low enough for about a year, and then they change the substrate every single year. Nico Rico, the French breeder, he's probably the most popular one for doing this. The man's a maniac if you want to put in his work ethic and how much he's actually doing. Like, it's insane. And for us, I prefer less work smarter, not harder. So more substrate, and some of our Brightwell tanks are going 5 years strong. Yeah, they are. Back to me. Sorry, got a baby or distracted. Then we have tie bees. Tie bees are when you cross a tiger and a bee shrimp together. It can be any tiger. Of course, it's got to be a tiger shrimp that can actually crossbreed. Stardust and raccoon so far, nobody has been able to cross those with anything. But tangerines, auroras, cheetahs, orange-eyed blue tigers, red tigers, all of those tigers can go into making a tie bee. Tang tie and aurora tie, of course, are made selective tie bees pretty much from tangerines and auroras. However, they're still a tie bee. And you could use any bee shrimp for those as well. You could use crystals, ghost bees, as well as Taiwan bees, and you're still technically going to make a tie bee. Now, when you take those and you cross them with a Taiwan bee, you get tie bees. Now, this is where I get a little skeptical. I feel like tie bees should only be hybridized Caridina shrimp that have the double pigment. Any of them that have the look of a tie bee in the single pigment, I still feel like those are just tie bees, because if you cross them and whatnot, you pretty much get the exact same results as you do from a tie bee. There really isn't any difference. Maybe you get more tie bees because there might be one more layer of Taiwan bee genetics, but you can make the same thing by using a Taiwan bee and a tiger cross and getting that. So I would say that in order for them to be classified as a tie bee, to me, they should have the double pigment. They should look very similar to a blue bolt or a black King Kong, red King Kong coloration to them. So, however, you don't have to use a tie bee cross with a Taiwan bee to get that. You could also use a tie bee. So you could use a pinto or one of the zebra skunks or something like that with a tie bee and still get tie bees out of them as well.
So Bugsy says, I ended up with black shrimp mixing my green coals with red coals. Also have 5 orange pop out. I guess I'm getting more tanks. Yeah, as you should.
So you'll get green oranges out of your greens regardless. So that's a little project that we've been working on a little bit more this year as well. Isn't she adorable?
Yes.
I'm sorry. All
right.
So then we've got our orange eye genetics. Right now, orange eyes, we were just talking about them. They are all the rage. However, when crossing orange eyes with other shrimp, none of the first generation will come out with orange eyes. We talked about that a little bit on making the metallics, but I highly recommend that you always cross back the first generation to some of the orange eyes. That way you guarantee that you get the orange eyes for the second cross. Then from there, you can kind of play with selective breeding and crossbreed to get what you want. I find that that's a lot quicker to get the end result rather than taking the F1s and getting F2s from those that some of them are going to have the orange eye, but not all of them. So it's just one of those things where it's a little bit quicker to get the orange eyes and then selective breed from there. Since it is a recessive trait, once you get it breeding out, it will be true. Since it'll be homozygous. And then we've got the new thing that's popping up with the Neocaridina. I'm getting people every day probably that are sending me pictures of shrimp with eye color on their neos and asking me if they have anything special. For me personally, I feel like if the pupil is black, it's nothing special. There's a lot of shrimp being sold right now as golden eye and stuff like that, and the eye is still black. And I can go out into our cull neoponds and throw them into a tank, and I will find shrimp that have that golden eye coloration to them. And for the most part, none of the orange eye or the golden eye yellows that I've seen are really high in color. So a lot of people are coming to me that have, quote unquote, golden eye shrimp. Well, when you think about these breeders overseas that are producing thousands and thousands and thousands of Neos, they'll take their time to go through and sort them all and look at the eye color and go, oh, well, this one has that golden eye. Instead of me getting $1 for it, I can get $10 for it. So it's definitely worth it for them to go through and select that stuff out. But to me, it's nothing special.
Scuba Steve Aquatics said, member for 8 months. Thank you so much, Scuba. Said, our babies are going to be fish show buddies. I cannot wait. I can't wait. So cute. Hope your baby's doing great. And then Daniel requested for his wife to see the baby. We all know how that is. Grant definitely knows how that is. I mean, I'll see a baby from like a mile away, and Grant's like trying to divert me the other way because of how much I'll just talk about babies.
No, I'm not.
Who has baby fever when they have a baby?
I'm not trying to divert her away from babies. That's not something I'm doing.
Bugsy said, yeah, all my orange eye shrimp except 2 are pretty ugly.
I don't know. I find most of the orange-eyed shrimp to be a lot cooler than the rest.
Unless they may be orange eye Neos or something, maybe.
But if they're still small, just remember that all shrimp will gain pigment as they grow up and get older. So
they usually look better.
Yeah.
A lot of babies look really ugly. You're like, oh no.
Especially the orange eyes. Like they get deep, dark, and rusty too. So even if they're...
I know people say that the rust is not like a good thing in shrimp, but I think it looks so beautiful. Like it's frowned upon. I don't know where that comes from though.
So I don't know where exactly it started from, but I do know when I was taking a look at some of the like German international score sheets on the orange eye categories, there is points off for rust.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know what because you got the Germans that breed, Taiwan breeders, and things like that. Just like Aquascaping, you have all your certain ones, but.
So I do think that the orange eye genetic at first does take away a lot of the pigment because you have a shrimp that is like half translucent in its native form. So you definitely sacrifice some of the pigments to get the orange eyes, and then it's something to work on. A lot of these orange eye strains, they're so new. Like you see the really nice ones out there, those are straight from the people that created them. So all of the ones that we're getting here in the States are like, I mean, this guy got it, then this guy got it, then this guy got it. But none of them are really putting in the same amount of work that the person that's had it from the get-go. So none of them have the time to really catch up to them yet. So that's why a lot of the orange eyes kind of look like poop. But I think they look cooler than most of the shrimp that they're trying to mimic because of the eye color. And then we have hollow eye. So hollow eye is one of the coloration or eye colorations that I do not think are being utilized the way they should. I think people kind of like created them, bred them out, and they kind of just breed like copy and print. All of them look the same. You can mass produce them and make them look really easy. Or breed them out really easy, and there's not much work involved in culling or anything like that, right? Well, when I crossbred them with other orange-eyed shrimp, none of the orange-eyed crossed with hollow-eyed came out with any eye morphs. They all came out just normal eye. But when I crossed them back with one another, or I crossed them back to one of the orange eye or hollow eyes, I got some of the coolest looking shrimp crosses that I ever had. So if anybody's looking to create a new line of shrimp, I would get the hollow eyes and I would start crossbreeding them with any kind of morph of orange-eyed Caridina that you can get your hands on. I would breed them with any kind of Caridina that doesn't have hollow eye morphs to it, because those are all possibilities. There's got to be more shrimp that can get hollow eye rather than just the black and red ghost. Now, again, I think it's very similar to the orange eyes, where a lot of the pigment goes to the eye and not to the body. So there's very little work being done on them. But how cool would it be if you got a completely solid red hollow eye? Like, I think those would be cooler than the like lower grade red devils. Some of the higher grades, I don't know. I kind of retracted my statement there.
Tolstoy said, absolutely love that rust coloration, especially on blue shrimp. So that's where I normally see rust. Do you see rust in any other colors? Because blue is typically the only one.
Just the blue,
so that's
and
so strange.
technically the black.
Right,
but
usually,
blues.
They're blues that get the second. It's like almost like they get a third layer pigment. Because like even the Neos, I've gotten, you get the gold dust on the greens and the yellows, but on the like the chocolates to the black rose to the blue diamonds, I have seen like almost a rusty color, and the wilds that get black almost get a rusty color to them sometimes. So like it's cool to see, but it's got to be something in the blue genetics that do that. Because I only really see them even on Caridina.
Tiger genetics, and then I would even more say that
why wouldn't they have it in orange tigers?
I think the Taiwan bees come off of a mutation from the tiger cross, because like the Taiwan bees, they're the only ones that as they age after that 3-year mark, you'll kind of get a little rust to some of them. Very, very, very slight shimmer of like purplish color, but it's not like the purple Caridina that everybody, it's not like a metallic either.
But I feel like every third layer you ever see on a shrimp, like say you see purple metallic, the rusty color, the shadow, the galaxy, it's almost like a shiny type on it. And that's like why was rust considered a bad thing when you have purple metallics and then you have the metallic boas? To me, it just seems like it's a third layer of pigment, and if we are genetically modifying them so well, that should be considered a good thing.
Or maybe at one time that everybody's tigers, when they got larger, had rust, so it was more, impressive that yours didn't have rust coloration on them.
Yeah.
I don't know how the original tigers were.
We got to figure that out. We got to go hunting. Daniel said, P.S. My wife is okay with getting more tanks after last week's tank failure. I picked up 2 today, so getting some Caridina next month.
Oh, glad to hear that. Step in the right direction.
And Sleeper Barbecue said, my second live, you're loaded with information. Well, thank you for joining us. Yes, he's like a walking book.
I'm a lot better now that Shelby is here. Also, somehow my nose has cleaned up, so
I don't feel like you've gotten better since I got here. Honestly, I swear you were spitting out facts before I got here, and I got here and you're like, baby. Bugsy said, I created mine. I never purchased one, but it popped out in my blue steels. An orange, I think the orange eye, is that what you're saying?
So I have one orange eye that's popped out of our crazy blue tank, and
that's pretty rare, though.
I don't know where it's been.
We've had a bunch of blue steels and never had that happen, so that's cool. It could have been previously crossbred with something that had orange eyes, because not all babies get the orange eyes. So, like, we have an orange eye, it's not tangerine. There's tangerine tigers and something else in there. But sometimes there's normal eyes that come out of it. So if they breed down the line, can't they?
I wasn't listening to the first half of the question. I'm sorry. The baby distracted me. So what tank?
Better. So like what I'm just giving an example is that it could have been bred with something else at one time that had orange eyes, and then when it's an offspring without orange eyes that you had gotten.
It could have been started off with an orange eye blue tiger crossed with a blue bolt to make your blue steel, because all of a blue steel really is a hybridized blue bolt. So it's a possibility, but most of them would be also crossed with a tangerine tiger too, to kind of give it that speckled blue steel look.
And Nathan said, I noticed with the yellows, they'll be really pale. Then they start getting almost adult size, and boom, amazing yellow sets in. Yeah, a lot of times they do take a little bit longer to get that real nice coloration. They'll be yellow, but not that like highlighter neon yellow that most people are wanting, or that solid color. Sometimes they are nice when they're younger, but
And when we first started breeding out the yellows, I took all of the clear ones and I gave them to a friend for free. And I was like, just tell me how these look in your tank, because outside in the pond, they don't look very well. And he got them. And he was like, for the first week, they didn't look that good, but now they all look like the deepest, darkest yellow shrimp I've ever had. So you just got to give them some time sometimes.
then I can't pronounce it. I'm not doing good tonight. Which is more stable line of Neocaridina shrimp I want to buy for a shrimp colony?
So our yellow 24 karat line is super stable. It produces a very, very low amount of culls, and we've won more awards with it out of any other line that we have. The newest line that we have offered for sale is the Ocean Blues. These guys are also breeding very, very true. So I would just say pick which color you like more, yellow or blue. Blues are kind of hard to see on black substrate. So if you already have the tank set up and you have a lighter color substrate, go with blue. If you've got like a planted tank and you're looking for something to pop out on some black gravel, I would go with yellow.
And then Southwest Florida said I get rusty color on my green emeralds. So yeah, I've seen that before too. I forgot about that. It's like a browner color though. It's
Yeah,
like
but
brown yellow.
I wasn't thinking of those when I'm thinking about Caridina. It's just it's totally different. The greens as well as the black diamonds and blue diamonds. I've seen the blue diamonds get like a red rust on them as well. So
I've seen that in black rose.
And then chocolates and black rose.
And then Bundy said, where to find orange-eyed Neos?
So far, the only place I've really seen them is in Germany. I haven't seen anybody with them here in the stateside. Again, I'm not like out there like fishing for new shrimp right now, so I don't know who has what prices or anything like that. All I know is I've got 4 friends who are avid on getting the newest shrimp on the market. And like Mike Esposito is my go-to. When something's new out there, he's like, my wholesaler's got it. I'm going to go pick it up on Monday. And I'm like, good luck, because as soon as you get your first batch, Mike, you send them to me. And we send Mike a lot of shrimp for his own projects as well as his club donations and stuff like that in return. So I'm not too concerned on who has the orange eyes until Mike says they're available for him. Then I know they're in the States.
And then Tolstoy said rust being a bad thing is just an opinion. And if you like something, you like it.
Yeah, it's just like the darker red wines and red pintos. Like, I really like the so deep dark red that it almost looks black, and then it's swirled throughout the body and makes it like a black red marbling. That to me is phenomenal, as well as the red cherries can have like the Kanoko is their name to them too. It's like the same kind of coloration pattern to them. A lot of people cull those. I like them. There was one tank that I had that was producing mainly them, and then I threw a newt in there, and they don't produce so much. I don't really have anything else on the list.
I'm
so
trying to read it.
if
My
you catch that
contact isn't working. This one is not working. I can't see out of my eye. EJ said, just found out y'all and subbed. Hello from Texas. Thanks for joining us. Said I'm breeding out orange-eye blues at the moment. They're always a solid choice.
Orange-eye blue tigers are the one shrimp that orange-eye blue tigers and blue bolts. So the 2 shrimp that I talk about with my talks, that when we first got in the hobby, they were the same price that they are now, or they've gone up a little bit on average in price. Everything else in the hobby has gone down just a little bit, like Caridina wise. Neocaridina, like red cherry, average price has always been $3 for us. You can get them locally for a lot cheaper, but yeah, it's about average price. So for you guys and you guys only, Black Friday is still going on. I haven't had a chance to go through and reduce any of the prices. So I didn't post this anywhere else, but I thought I would just let you guys know. Sales were supposed to end yesterday or Saturday. I can't remember exactly what day. But we were super busy with the Reptile show. The Reptile show was phenomenal. That's what we're about to talk in a little bit too. We've got giveaways we got to get to as well tonight. So we're going to do hashtag. I'm sorry, I got the hiccups. Hashtag TGOE. And we'll do a $25 gift card. But we had Repticon. It was our very first show, vending a reptile show. We've vended shows where it's reptile and aquarium shows. There's Aquashella that has reptile vendors as well, but they're primarily aquarium shows, right? And people are expecting aquatics and stuff like that. So this was one of the shows where nobody was expecting aquatics, yet here we are, right square in the middle of the show. We had a great booth, and it pretty much was the best Repticon experience that we've ever had. A lot of times we go to Repticon and we're there, we get something, and I'm like panicking. I'm like, I gotta get this home. I gotta get it squared away, and it's probably been in this container for I don't know how long. So we'll run through the expo at first, figure out what's there, what we want, buy any supplies we need, buy the critter, and we're gone. And we're home as fast as possible. Well, I had pretty much 2 days where I could walk around and look at the show. Of course, Shelby had to feed the baby, and I had to work the booth for a good amount of the show. But anytime it was my time to hold the baby and watch the baby, I just grabbed her and we walked around the show, and I pretty much got to see every single booth. I was walking around on Sunday and I still saw, man, Mark is calling me. Mark is not somebody that should be calling me tonight. But on Sunday, I was still noticing booths that were like brand new. And I was like, where was this yesterday? So it just makes me think, like, how many booths have I missed before in the past? But we weren't expecting to sell a lot of shrimp, but we ended up selling enough shrimp that we came home Saturday night, which was great. We got to sleep in our own bed. Not often do we do shows where we get to sleep in our own bed. Orlando Aquashella was the last one that we were able to do that with, right? And we didn't even do it the last year because driving back and forth is so much. It's a lot nicer to just stay at the venue. But that's because we're there, we're hanging out, we're out to dinner with everybody and stuff like that. Repticon, we knew a few people that were there and vending and made friends that were there, but not really anybody that were like, dude, we got to go get dinner and hang out and then go catch ice cream together and stuff like that. So we were kind of just like, all right, we got some chameleons, let's head home, get them set up, get them comfortable. But of course we had to stay for the end of the show because we were vending it. We sold more aquatic plants than I thought. I made a lot of these little tubs of not duckweed. Everybody was calling it duckweed, but it was baby tears, Monte Carlo. I had a little bit of hydrocotyle and some microsort in some of them as well. I thought they were going to sell like hotcakes because of the terrarium side and whatnot, paludariums, but they did not do as good as I thought they did. The moss did as well as I thought it was going to. But at the end of the show, I was able to go to a couple of the dart frog vendors and go, hey, I got these trays of terrarium plants, foreground plants, and I was able to sell some wholesale, and I was able to trade some off. So Shelby was like, I want some of these to come home with because we got a little.
This one in particular.
One particular was it for the gecko tank?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and to throw isopods in it.
So, spoiler alert, we got a morning gecko, which is a Hawaiian self-cloning gecko, and you only need one of them. And then the lady said they'll be in your house in no time. The babies are as small as crickets, and they'll get out of any little nooks and crannies. And since the kids will be helping us, I'm sure it's just a matter of time before one of them gets loose, and only takes one before the whole house is got geckos. So, in another year or two, Myra will be catching geckos and be like, "Oh, I got this," and put it in a little container, and then we'll bring it to the next show. That's all it'll work.
Yeah, they'll be like $5 then. EJ says, orange eye blue Neos. My well water is too hard for Caridina. Not doing RO anytime soon.
Yeah, I haven't seen any orange eye blue Neos out there yet. I've seen like greens and yellows. That's about it. How's it going, Papa Shrimp? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm sure he's been in chat. I never read chat. See you now. So we've ended the show. That was great. But it's also really dangerous, right? Because anytime somebody came up to the booth and put money in my pocket, I was like, I can probably go buy this other creature now. So,
not good.
we have the hashtag TGOE going, but the first person to guess how many reptiles that we came home with total from Repticon will win another $25 gift card. So the first person, so go ahead, guess away now, but I'm going to go through them. We got a baby panther chameleon on the first day. It was for Layla. We got a hell of a deal on it. It was only $90. It was unsexed, but we did pick out like the nicest one. We did it early in the day on Saturday, so we got pretty much first pickings as soon as the lady laid them all out on the table. And then we weren't set up for that that chameleon. We had bigger cages set up, so I took Layla on a small little shopping spree to get that all done. Chameleons are like the one thing that if you know exactly how to take care of them, you could take them home that day and set up the cage. But you need to know they're an incredibly insane amount of work compared to any other reptile. You have to spray them 3 times a day. You have to feed them. You have to dust their crickets. You've got to set up a cage where they have 95 degrees to bask, and then they need 70 degrees to cool off. They need all these layers, and like you'd think we aquascape something incredible, but then at the same time, you've got to have it functionable for the chameleon. So there's all these things to take into account when you're setting it all up. But we've had over 70 chameleons before in the past. So when Layla wanted a little one, I'm like, okay, I know everything we need. I know everything we have. We're lucky enough we set up a bunch of stuff for Zoomed earlier this year, as well as Fluval. So we got a bunch of the lights and everything like that already in the garage. So we set up that. That was the first thing we got. The second thing we got was there was another lady that had really cheap females of really good quality. And the reason why they marked the females down is because nobody wants an ugly pink female panther chameleon. Like everybody, when they want a panther chameleon, they all want the beautiful blues, the reds, the yellows, the purples. They want color. The pinks aren't even a bright fluorescent pink that everybody likes. It's like the dullest, like that pink that your grandma wears or has her curtains and furniture in her house or something.
Sometimes
like
pretty.
they're just not the prettiest on average, right? And so most of the time they're stressed out in brown and black. They're not the coolest, colorful. So nobody wants them. So the price is less because the demand is less. Okay, but I told Shelby they have them for $100 at this table. Go buy them. And she gets to the table and somebody literally bought the entire stack.
I wasn't even at the table. So how this happened was he told me it was somewhere over there, and we were walking by, and I see a lady there, and she's with someone else, and they have a stack of chameleons, and they're like, how much for all of these? And like the person's like, oh, and then like I could hear that they're making a really good deal on it, and I'm like, oh man, what did I miss? You know, you missed something. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And I didn't know, because all I saw were big, huge males. I didn't see females. And then so we kept walking, and I came all the way back, and I was like, I didn't see any of those chameleons you were talking about, but I did see someone with a stack. And then I went back to the table later, and they're like, yeah, those were the ones. And he was like, yeah, that was probably them. And they were gone.
And I know I was talking about getting a chameleon from somebody else. They were super aggressive, and like they did not understand that I was trying to keep the price down. I did not need a full grown bright, like I like this one, yeah, but it's her first chameleon.
Yeah.
She wants a smaller one.
Yeah,
but
she was a
also
baby.
I'm willing to make the sacrifice on the work behalf and take care of them all, so that way you can save a little bit of money and in the end still have a really good product, right? So as much as I wanted to buy this chameleon for $450, we got 2 chameleons for $185. And I just could not justify going to buy it off of them. Their chameleons are super healthy. They're justified for the size that they are, but that's all that they had available. And if those were the only chameleons at the show, we probably would have just walked away with just that, and I wouldn't have walked away with everything else we got. Like we were planning on spending about $400 in chameleons, and that's what we spent, because I walked away with 2 pygmy chameleons as well. These have been on my bucket list for over 10 years. Back when we had chameleons, I was like, well, I'm gonna get pygmies. Like I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna get them. I kept talking about them, and I was like ready for them, and then we couldn't find them. And this is the first time that I've seen them in person, and I was like, I got it. We literally,
we've seen them in person, just not for sale. We had friends that had them.
I literally bought a 18 by 18 by 36 inch Zoomed terrarium for these. Broke my ankle, never got it set up.
Yeah, so
The pair came in a little cage already, so I'm not urgent to set up something. So I have this. On Wednesday, me and Shelby are going to put together a really bioactive terrarium for these guys. We got isopods for them. I'm going to get some springtails from one of our club members on Thursday, the Saturday. So I'm gonna deck out their little tank. And then I got them for $195. So I didn't even spend $400 on chameleons. We got some incredible deals. Like that's 4. And then I traded some aquatic plants and some snails for a little mud turtle. And it's my first mud turtle. Everything else that we've had before in the past have been musks. So really excited to have my first mud. And he explained the difference. I always thought that like mud and musk were kind of interchangeable. No, they're not. Mud turtles have kind of a trap door like a box turtle, where musk turtle has the same plastrum similar to a snapping turtle. So I learned something, but then they were asking me questions because we have the Diamondback terrapins. So they learned a lot. Not a lot. That was bad. It was just cool to change information and do that in the reptile side, because I haven't done that for a really long time. I do it with Dan the Turtle Man, but like Dan's like one of my like buddies. Like this was the first time I was like at a show, and this is somebody I've never seen before, never really talked to, and the guy's like, dang, like you just had shrimp on the table. I wasn't expecting to talk to like somebody who is into the Diamondback terrapins as much as they were. So I wanted to get a little mud turtle off of him. It is super tiny. He is in the isopod tank, and I'm totally cool if he eats like all the population of isopods. We've been like scattering around the entire house already. So
gotta get a little bit more specific on that one.
They're plenty seeded. And then of course we've got the Pisces line of little shrimp, not shrimp treats, but worms. And yeah, we've got all these little tiny dried up food bugs for them to eat. And last week we just got the ultra fresh turtle food as well. So that little guy's going to be spoiled, but wait till you see the video that I've got planned this week. We got to go grocery shopping tomorrow. But yeah, you know what I'm doing. I've been waiting to do this for so long. So long. It's happening. So no spoilers. I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, so we do have different plans for the garage.
We've been talking about
turtles,
that. But yeah. I mean, we're definitely going to have a turtle aisle. I just haven't talked about that.
Turtle rack.
No, an aisle. I figure we just have an aisle in the middle of the garage and no rack. Just, an aisle. Nice little potted.
Okay, so one more. Boom. Stop now, Grant. Hey, Mark. Welcome back from, where were you? Where was he?
Mark was in Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Yes.
How did I not remember that?
So I would have stopped there, but I had already told you guys about the morning gecko. So that is 6 reptiles. I'm not forgetting anything, right?
No. Are you counting the turtle as a reptile?
Yes, the turtle is a reptile.
So then we got the baby, we got the big mama, the 2 pygmies, the morning gecko, and then the musk.
Yeah. It's a mud. It's not a musk.
Mud. Can you not do this to me? Like, I was going good with all the musk turtles, and then he's got to throw a mud one in there.
Oh,
we might actually have more than just one mud in the house. We got to check them all.
I do have to check them now.
Yeah, because we were unaware.
But I'm pretty sure they're musks. Anyways.
That one named Elon better be a musk, be turtle.
Elon is a razorback.
Yeah, okay.
He's for sure. He's for sure. And I was going to get another razorback.
There's razorback mud turtles.
But the pygmy chameleons were staring me down, and I got those instead of the razorbacks. So I was also going to get a caiman lizard. They were the cheapest I've ever seen them. They were small and lively, but I decided I'm not going to get those until after Christmas as well. But I will have some snail munching monsters in the new year, but I'll have plenty of time to get that tank set up and get it going. So and the snails are going, though. They are breeding.
The first person to guess that was Mike Reardon. So if you're still here, make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. My phone's dead. Do you want to write that down?
I don't know where the pen went.
That's good. It's right there next to the mug.
Oh. Here, I'm going to let you write it down. We also got 2 fruit fly cultures the first day, and they were not I want to say seeded, but they hadn't laid eggs to actually colonate the culture yet. So I was like, well, I got to get 2 of them, because if I overfeed this one, then they'll never have a culture. And we weren't planning on getting Layla's little tiny chameleon, so we went ahead and did that. We've got to get the crickets breeding. So tomorrow I told Jaden we're going to set up a cricket breeding bin. And so he's really excited for that. Like I didn't see him so excited. I didn't think he was going to be excited about breeding crickets, but he was totally pumped. And
Gross.
And he goes, and worms? And I'm like, yeah, we'll do worms too. I was like, your grandpa did it. You can do it. You got this. So we're going to go ahead and get that. But on Sunday, walking around, taking a closer look at things, I found cheaper, fully established fruit fly cultures. So I've got a dense, thick population of fruit flies now. We got 2, and I didn't count these as reptiles because they're not reptiles. We got 2 different types. We got papaya. That's my type. And what did you get?
I don't know. I let the kids pick. Oh, the magic potion.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we got.
I thought those would look really cool with the morning gecko because it's got like the spots on it. So then the isopods have spots on it too. So.
So I got mine. I traded them for some aquatic isopods. I was like, hey, you guys got isopods, but do you have aquatic isopods?
All the actually 2 vendors that were strictly isopods, who I have bought in isopods off both of them in the past. Obviously, I don't remember someone just coming to buy a $10 cup of isopods. But I told them both, I was like, yeah, I've actually bought from you guys before. It's cool to see how far some of them have come too. And they came back, and one of them came back and actually bought the aquatic isopods, and then Grant traded isopods for isopods.
Oh, and part of your trade with him was you got a mug. So
Yeah,
she's got a
so
mug
cute.
that I think it's still packed up. So we'll get it washed and ready for next week. I won't ruin the surprise on that.
It's cute. I figured it'd be great to have some isopods in the pygmy chameleon enclosure, and then some with the morning gecko. They just have the whole habitat, and it's just easier. I'm not going crazy into the isopods again. I still don't have time yet. I have to get everything else in order. We're doing this step by step. I didn't want to get. We had the chameleon stuff for over a year now. We knew what we wanted to do, and we waited until we were ready to do this and pull the trigger, because that's a very big responsibility, and it's not something to take lightly. And with us traveling and doing a lot of extra work and the baby, we had to make sure that we'd be able to take good care of these reptiles. And with both the kids, they have been working really hard on their chores, doing everything right to earn these, and they've done really good. Jaden has taken care of the leopard geckos for quite a while now, and they're doing phenomenal. He got Daddy got him the coolest thing for his leopard gecko tank. I don't think we're going to be talking about that yet until we set it up.
Before I talk about what Steve said, but one of the coolest things about this show, though, was walking around with Jaden and just having him pick out his favorite snake and leopard gecko.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a master leopard gecko breeder by any means, but I can kind of tell who's putting more work into the reptiles. Like, they're healthier looking, they're fatter, the tables are nicer, their prices are very reasonable. They're not cheap, but they're not super expensive. And if they do have super expensive ones, they're in real nice glass cases. And Jaden was able to pick out what I thought was the best leopard gecko breeder in the entire place. He also was asking questions to the snake breeders, and I was quite upfront with them. We're like, we are not ready for a snake right now. He is just looking, but he was bouncing questions back off of him, and it rocks me when he's doing that, because when other kids come up to the table and they're asking me questions about plants and shrimp, I'm like, oh, my kid's never going to do that. But he's the one now doing it for the things that he's interested in.
Reptiles and snakes.
He doesn't have his own snakes yet, but I think we need to get his leopard geckos dialed in and make sure that he has a male and female pair. And if he does, maybe we get him a different male and another tank set up, because we had them both in 2 separate tanks, and we put them together for him in his room because they could get more care and attention with him. And we have the ability to separate them or give them a different pair or something like that. So I pretty much have the exact one. It was an emerald clown. That was the emerald. The clowns are what have the greener pigments to them, and it's not a green. It's like a green, like the discus green is. But it would go well with the other green that we have if we could pair those together. That would make some really nice leopard gecko babies. And it's one that Jaden picked out. There was 3 of them, and that's the one Jaden picked out. And I was like, that's my favorite one too. So Steve said, did this woman just pick a pet so it matches her other pet? Don't act like you don't pick your snails to match your shrimp and your shrimp to match your fish. You do it too. Everyone has done it in this chat. If you haven't picked some black angelfish to go with some black cory cats, then What
I
are you
have done
doing?
that too.
Right, exactly. Like that's
I love matching. Well, when I stared at the table, at first it was the red panda cubaris species because I've done a lot of the isopods. I have dabbled in almost every species. Cubaris is a little bit, or cubaris, whatever way you want to say it, but they're a little bit easier for me. They kind of like the neglect where you don't have to take care of them as much because they don't want to be stressed out, so they do better. Not neglecting on like food or spraying them down, just don't bother them kind of ones. And I just knew that the magic potion, they did really, really good for me, and they were one of the ones that I didn't have to do much for them. And they'll be getting misted and then eat over, and they'll be easier to take care of, and the kids liked them. I let the kids help me pick them out because it's also for them. The gecko's like the family pet, so.
And then one of my favorite things to do was to point out and be like, "Oh my God, Layla, look at that!" And it would just be a rat, and she hates looking at rats.
Yeah, she's like her mother.
And I did that at Joe's table, and Joe got us to Repticon. So in the very back corner, I believe it's his daughter that was running the table, and I did it at his table because there's chameleons and then rats, right? And she goes, and the helper goes, "Oh, I saw that. Come here," and took a rat and kissed it, and Layla basically just ran away. I was like, "Oh my God, that wasn't the right thing to do." So I stopped doing it after that. I was like, it ain't gonna get any better than that. Like that was it for her.
We both tried to stare there, and there was rats that were kind of cute, with bunnies and chinchillas and a sugar glider and the thing, and we were staring because it was okay. It was kind of like rolling around doing its little thing, but there's just something off about rats. I don't know. Both of us found them a little squirt. We were like, I gotta walk away.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want rats in the house. I don't want Jaden to have a snake that's gonna eat rats.
That's fine.
And then you guys want the sand boa, and the sand boa is cool and all, but like,
baby rats.
They gotta eat rats still, frozen pinkies. And do you know how destroyed Layla is when she's gonna put all of that together and what's going on? Like, she didn't even want to look at the pinkies at the show. Like, I tried to get her to look at all the levels of rats there, and I wasn't having it. She did like the little pocket quail or button quail. I can't remember what they were. If it was warmer outside, I think I probably would have gotten some of those. Those would be some great pest control for the aquatic plant bins outside. What are you laughing at?
Mark's comment. Nah, chill, kissing a rat. That's wild. So when I think of those, I think of like the bubonic plague. Is that not where like?
Well, they came from the fleas, but yes.
Yeah, that's what I think of.
Plague.
Like,
it
I
is
know
the
it's
rats.
like a whole.
The rats were.
The animals are innocent, okay, in this whole situation, okay, but like, that's just when you think of rat, you think of like sewer rat. You don't go, that person's as cute as a rat. Like, you don't do that. It's not cute. They are kind of cute. I mean, in their own innocent way, but I can't do that. My friend had them where they'd crawl up her leg and run around the living room, and I'm like, she's like, you gotta love them, and I'm like, I can't. They're fat, they're adorable, but put them back in their cage. Like, I don't want them. Do not let them crawl on me.
And then I also taught Layla what a discount was. We one of the vendors in the very middle of the expo is a reptile show, and they have everything from chameleon cages to lights and everything like that. And Joe was like, yo, make sure if you buy anything here, you let them know you're a vendor and you get a discount. And I was like, oh, cool. And so I went to go check out, and I had some vine and a little dripper for the little chameleon, and the calcium salts without vitamin D. And I go, oh, and can I get the vendor discount? I show them my vendor wristband, and Layla goes, what's a discount? And so I had to explain what a discount was to her, and she was like, oh, that's cool.
I thought she would know that when we went shopping for makeup.
No.
Scuba Steve says she's so content with all the tanks. Yeah, she fell asleep.
Nah,
Or did she
yeah.
wake back up? Because I keep moving her.
We were at the
She's so
show,
cute.
and the first day, she slept almost the entire show. And like Shelby fed her at one time and then brought her back inside, and she fell like right back asleep. And Shelby's walking around the show with one of the kids or something like that, or both the kids, I think, at this time. And I'm all at the booth all by myself, and she's just so cute. So I take out my phone and I go to take a picture of her and go, look who's just sleeping like a baby the whole show. And as soon as I took the picture, she opens her eyes and goes, and it was almost like, don't you be taking pictures of me. And I was like, oh my God, like no noise happened. Nothing fell. Nothing like got bumped. So that it's like, how did she know I was taking a picture? And it was at that very moment. She just opened her eyes and was like, don't you dare take a photo of me.
Big Steve said, you really can tell a lot about a vendor by looking and talking. Doesn't take long to get a yay or nay vibe. Oh, I immediately knew on some of the tables. I was like, that's not going to be a healthy animal coming home with me. That's just no way. And one of the people that sell the chameleons for a little bit more have really nice chameleons. And she is so good at selling to you. Like, you almost can't walk away. Like, honestly, like, I'm actually terrified with how good she is. Like, you would almost buy, and you're like broke, and you're like, all right, I'll hand you my last dime here because she's so good. And you know, she breeds them all. And she's like, I swear she probably named each hatchling that comes out immediately. And then the people we bought the chameleons off of are a lovely couple, and they're awesome. And I just told Grant, I'm like, it just reminds me of me and you. And like,
The
if we
dude's got
never did
fly
like
river
aquatics,
turtles.
yeah. And I'm like, if we never did like aquatics and we just stuck with like chameleons,
I'm gonna
they
pimp
were
out
cool.
his fly river turtle tank with some shrimp in it. Give him some company.
Yeah. Heather says my guppies match my shrimp. All my tetras match each other. Yeah, see that? Cool.
See, everyone does it, Steve. Don't make fun of Shelby. There's other things you can make fun of Shelby for.
Don't you get
But
started.
you can't make fun of her for not
started.
knowing what a Michelin is. She got that one right. I'm gonna have to find something else to go to on that.
You do. You got to give me harder genetics questions because that's the one I still question myself on it every time though. So you still got to question me once in a while. Aaron said, what percentage of offspring will be metallic when two metallics are crossed?
Like 10% will be metallic. Metallic is very, very low on the percentage of offspring. That's why the price is so high. If the percentage of babies that come out from the shrimp were 100% looking like the adults, that shrimp's going to be very cheap, very fast. Metallics have been around in the hobby for, I think, 8 years now. 8 years, and they're still not cheap, and they're still not one of the true breeding colonies, and that's why.
Garcia Aquatics, how you doing? Member for 25 months. Sorry, that pause was just like my brain's trying to compute. Said, well, hello, great people, much love. Thank you for joining us. Can't wait to see you next year sometime when we go to South Florida. I feel like I haven't seen anyone for a while. It feels so weird.
Yeah, we saw one person from our aquarium club who we saw at the last Repticon. So it wasn't like we saw anybody. ZoomEd wasn't there, so we didn't really have any like vendor buddies. Joe was on the opposite side of the show, but Joe still gave us some rocks to aquascape with. They're small, tiny rocks, so they're going to be great in one of Shelby's new little nano tanks in the room. But we are definitely missing out on like Mark and Ryan and Sam and all of our regular circle of friends. Sabu show though is less than 2 months away now.
Yeah,
so
that's not. It's gonna be here before you know it.
There was so many vendors though who are like, "Oh my God, you have to come to January." So even though we didn't have that connection with them, I'm sure they're going to be happy to see us if we do January or if we do some of the other shows. One of the vendors bought Caridina shrimp off of us on Sunday because we didn't bring any Caridina shrimp on Saturday, and all they wanted was Caridina.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, here's our website. Email me what you want, and we'll bring it tomorrow. So We ended up doing pre-order sales basically, because them and the turtle people next to us. The turtle people, I would have gone and hung out with them if they had invited us out to dinner or something like that. They were cool. We didn't know like where to get wristbands or anything like that.
I have met that guy before.
And out of all of our neighbors, the older guy next to us, and I'm never gonna forget what kind of snake Jaden wants. I was always like, I think it's a python or a boa or whatever it is. Now I know. I'll never forget. It's a ball python because of Grandpa's balls. Grandpa's balls, pythons, was next to us.
Balls, and it's so funny. It's a what are those, crested gecko?
I said it the way I said it to be funny, by the way. So
it's a crested gecko.
Did it for you guys.
With two ball pythons coming out of their shell, and it just looks like Gramps' balls. And I'm just like, that is epic. Like, and it is Gramps. Gramps is sitting there and he's selling his pythons. And he had like the coolest banana pied one. That was cool because like the pied is like the it thing right now, where it's like white and spots. The fact that I'm learning about snakes for my son is crazy. Like, one thing that we had always talked about when I got with Grant, I was like, no snakes. That is like the one thing I'm not okay with. And then one of the shows, we went to a Repticon one time. We were walking together. I don't remember if Jaden was born or if it was before Jaden was born. But I was walking by a vendor, and this guy had a snake out, and he literally just tossed it into my arms. And, like, you don't do that. Like, people who are at reptile shows, not everybody likes snakes. Like, if someone was to throw a tarantula in my hand, I'd absolutely throw it. And I wouldn't mean to, like, throw it. And I would feel really bad. But, like, I have reactions to things, and I can't control them. And so, like, I was surprised that I held that snake. I was terrified, but I was like, wow, I can hold a snake? This is crazy. I'm like, please take it away, though. But Jaden absolutely is nuts about snakes, and he'll hold any of them.
And if he has picked up anything from me, it is the genetics, because we were walking around, and we'd go through one table or one vendor's group of tables or whatever, and we get to the very end, and then he'd go, yeah, that banana is cool, but there's a banana chocolate over there, and then there's a chocolate banana chocolate, or chocolate banana chocolate,
fire banana chocolate fire,
and he knew it like identical to what it was, and I go back to it and it is in the exact order, and I'm like, all right, this kid's paying attention, he's picking up on the traits that he likes. He definitely likes the more expensive ones. But when I was like, oh, well, look at this one though, it's only this price, he quickly jumped ship because he thought he was going to go home with one. I was like, you just want to snake that bad.
So the last reptile show, he had like a black and white one. He really wanted the sand boa that you had already found and let him hold.
Well, we found like a $25 one that looked like one of the $1,500 ones that he had liked.
Don't you love that? See, that's where I get confused.
I'm sure when they grow up, they're going to look a lot different or something like that. But as babies,
they all look alike.
Not all of them look alike.
But the $100 donut
this one was the $25 one was very close to looking like a $1,500 one. Now again, some of the shrimp look like that too. There's very slight differences that make a boa more money than a galaxy.
I'm going to pay $20 more for this, but at least you can tell. Like sometimes snakes you really can't tell. But like reverse scale it, like certain traits you can tell why you're going to pay more. EJ said, other than my shrimp and pea puffer tanks, my tanks are a hot mess of different non-matching fish. Yeah, like most of them I don't do that. I have though, like I love with like it's a show tank. If they're just breeding and I'm like learning how to breed, I'm never matching. But like we had a black angel tank that I wanted the black Venezuelan quarries in it. Like I thought it was cool. And then like I'll do contrasting where I want albino ones to go against the black ones, you know. So
let's do a giveaway. Hashtag TGOE. This is your last chance to get in on this giveaway. This is for a $25 gift card. I've got a few more to do tonight, so that's why we keep forgetting. We're actually getting into a little flow here and going on. If you can't tell, we really enjoyed this Repticon. It was like one of those things where we had planned to go do something. We created a new one. I think you can still go back to hat, and it'll still bring all those people.
I just don't know how.
Bear with us. It's going to be an extra second. But we were planning on going to the National Breeders Expo in Houston. It all out, and then last minute they told us no. And then the crazy thing is there's a guy for their expo going around. And he's like, "Oh, we'll make sure you get into Daytona and all this other stuff." And I just want to go, like, why? We don't only have so many shows we can do a year, and we killed it at this Repticon. We might as well just stick to Repticons. Their tables are way more expensive. Repticon tables are really cheap, so not really worried about making. You spun it without saying the last name.
You said last name.
All right,
Oak Razorback.
Oh,
All
make
right.
sure you're here. Did it say Oak Razorback?
Did we give away one of those hats or T-shirts up there last week?
In the swag pack, I believe.
One of them,
One
right?
of them is supposed to go in there. Yes.
Which one was it? 'Cause I
We
wanna give
didn't
the-
show.
Oh.
We never said anything about it. That person hasn't even reached out for the swag pack yet.
Yeah, make sure if you win one of the awards that you reach out to us and let us know, so that way we can send it to you. Because if you don't email us and give us your address, we're not going to be able to magically like send it to you. We're not Amazon. We don't have your information
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have one, please reach out to us too, so that if you don't want it, that would also be nice for you to say, so I can re-give it away if you don't want it. So thank you.
But the next one will be a swag pack. Hashtag TJOE. We'll throw in one of our T-shirts that we have to give away. It's not a TJOE T-shirt. What did I say? Did I say it's hashtag TJOE or did I say
Yeah.
hashtag swag?
You said hashtag TGOE.
I'm sorry. Hashtag swag. We already did hashtag TJOE. I lied. Hashtag swag.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. But this also comes with a sticker kit, and the stickers are a bunch of our stickers, our old stickers, as well as other members of the Fish Fam. And when we go to shows, if somebody's giving away free stickers and they look really cool, I'll grab a couple extras for these swag packs. We also got some of the old relics of the Triple Crown. One of their stickers and magnets to throw in there as well. What?
Just laughing at the rat, not getting intimate with the rat. Chrissy said some of my best pets were rats. I do believe that they're good pets, but I have like a terrible fear of rodents. I had a gerbil like bite almost through my finger as a kid. Absolutely terrible. That was not fun. So all teethy animals, even bunnies kind of scare me. I don't let my hands get near their mouth. You can have Splinter with Ninja Turtles. I'd be so afraid of them drowning in the water.
Now I kind of do want one of those multi-tanks where there's just like a rat in the middle of a turtle like enclosure moat. Like,
someone needs to do that. Someone
and the
really
rat's
needs to
name
do
will be
that.
Splinter, and then we'll have
We're not
obviously
getting a
the
rat.
4 Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you know what though? Layla did like the naked mole rat. So there was a naked mole rat there, and I was like, all right, that's the only one I kind of like. And it's like that one's okay. I don't know why I like that one more when it's disgusting looking.
There was a hairless guinea pig, and it was making the cutest noises, and I thought
Aw.
Layla would like it, and she's like, ew, and ran away just like it was a rat too. And I was like, ah. I wasn't even trying to creep her out with that one. I just got her.
I don't know how she was liking it.
Also, Layla, though, at other shows that we've brought her to, she helps us out when we set up the table, and then we'll restock the table and stuff like that. This was the first one where she stepped up and she asked a couple questions asked a couple customers if they needed anything. And anytime I got up for bags, she got up right behind me and bagged up all the plants and had a bag ready for all of the items that they bought to go into, and wanted to give the change back to the people. So she was a lot more of a help, but she's still very, very shy on making like that first.
Yeah, she actually
Start
shy
the
when you came
conversation.
around, by the way, because when you weren't there and it was just me and her, she was talking over me to the customer.
Really?
It was
Why
great.
is she
But
like
then,
that
like,
then with me?
yeah, I don't. After that, she was like I'm too scared. I don't know what it was, but she was literally like, I was explaining it to the customer, and she's like, yeah, and this and
But then
I thought it was the cutest thing.
But then the people across from us, the Isopod people, had a slideshow, and they was like, "Hey, we need something like that." And I was like, "We made something like that. Where's the tablet? Why is it not set up?" And the entire show, she was responsible for making sure the video restarted. So she was incredible amount of help. All right, this little thing
is an oven.
Is
I
an
know,
oven,
my
yes.
back's hurting.
But she is a log, and you should probably be able to put her down.
How can you put this down? How could you put
Because
this
my arm is starting to sweat. That's how.
down? Mark said the aquatic. So you were saying Sabu show. Most people don't know. So Mark answered nicely for us. The Aquatic Expo, North Carolina. It's not Charlotte. It's
technically in South Carolina, but it's
right
very
on the
close to Charlotte.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be next to the south of the border thing.
No,
that would be
one
hilarious.
One day, if Sabu had a show at the south of the border, that'd be
Great.
awesome. They got like a little reptile like zoo thing there too, so we incorporate that into it. Everybody has to walk through that in order to get to the show.
First week of February, yes. So we're super excited for that one. And then Heather said, I thought it was January, not February. January would be a Repticon if we were going to do one. Usually I try to ask Grant for 1 month where we don't travel and we can relax. I can catch up on things. And usually December is that month. And then he did a Repticon. So.
And people were asking us at the show, "Oh, are you gonna do the show next month? Are you gonna do the show next month?" I'm gonna say something different.
Oh,
and at first, I was like, "No, January is the 1 month that I'm going to take off." But then by the end of the show, I was kind of like,
"I know.
Maybe we'll see you there. I don't know if I'll be a vendor, but I'll see you there."
Yeah, we'll probably at least go.
Yeah.
And says those pie snakes are gorgeous. Yeah, the piebalgs are just hide. There's pied stingrays someone showed today. That was really cool. I don't know what store it was now, but I saw it. Yeet. That's exactly. So I have like that reflex. Oh, yeah, it's not fun.
She'll be wearing gloves with crickets.
Yeah.
And she'll feel it in between them. And she freaks out so much the glove almost goes off her hand.
Yeah, it's not good, unfortunately. Where did that? I can see something popped up. Kalish, thank you so much. Gifted 5 Garden of Eater memberships. If you got gifted by the lovely Kalish, thank you so much. You do get a members only sticker and a 10% off discount code to our website. And just email us at the Garden of Eater, your real name, your YouTube name, and your address so I can send that out to you. I am caught up on all of that. So if you did not receive them, I did recently just send out some of them. So maybe wait a minute. But if you haven't received them and it's been over like 3 months, make sure to email me because I didn't get it out to you then.
It's been quite a busy
got an email back.
3 months since somebody was 9 months pregnant. So yeah, it's nice to be able to take a breather because we don't have anything really scheduled until Sabu's show. We can do that other show if we want to or not. Shelby does have a Christmas party that she's got to go to, but other than that, I'm just going to get my tanks done, or Shelby's tanks done in the bedroom. But it's my responsibility to get the water into them, so it's my task to do. And then start working in the garage while we still have some cold weather. It's been too cold, though, if I'm going to be honest, to be even working in the garage, because I got to open the door and move stuff in and out of the garage.
I can work in the garage. I'm burning up right now, even thinking about it.
If it's under 60, you can find me inside.
It was cold when we went over, but Big Steve says if you throw a tarantula on me, the thrower is going to be out of tarantula. Oh, man. I think they're like the coolest. I want a jumping spider so bad because they're so like low maintenance and easy to take care of, but like they were also expensive, and I'm like afraid if like it ever got out, like how am I getting it back in? Like, like that would be so. I would do it, but like I'm gonna be so scared, and I'll be like.
I started to panic today or last night I shouldn't have done this. I'm going to be completely honest, but I felt comfortable enough in my handling skills that I was going to have the situation under control. But I wanted to get good photos of everything that we had gotten from Repticon and share what we got online. And I really couldn't get a good photo of the gecko, and I couldn't get a good photo of the larger female chameleon either in the container, right? And
just took her out.
No, I went to like just crack the container, and it was like she knew exactly what was going on, and she immediately started to like turn into hyper mode, and I was like, I'm not gonna deal with this. And the cage wasn't. Shelby was still putting together the final touches on getting it moved in. We moved it out of the closet so Shelby could paint the closet. It's freaking gorgeous. It's got vines painted all over it. The vines have texture to them. And so we had to kind of just resituate everything and then put the chameleon in there. But the gecko, the morning gecko, I was like, I can handle this thing. If it's going to start moving around, it didn't move like at all in the lid. Like I took like probably 10 photos of it where it didn't move. And as soon as I took like the last photo, I was ready. It jumps onto my arm or my hand. And I'm like, oh no. So I put my phone down and I go to like try to like get it into the cup, and it sprints up my arm. And the lady's like, the guy that we bought it from, or the chameleon that we got it from, and we're talking about the morning geckos. He's like, yeah, the babies are like little tiny crickets. They're gonna get out into your house. You'll have them in your house in no time, in a few months, whether you like it or not. And I'm like, I'm gonna have a zip tight cage. Like we ain't risking that at all. And then this thing's running up my arm, and I'm going, it's gonna be in my house way sooner than I thought. Oh no! I just started panicking. I took the cup and I just plopped it right on my arm, and then I kind of scooped them into the cup and I threw the lid on there, and I was like, I am not opening this up again until the cage is done. And I'm gonna like open it up and like in the very back corner of the cage and then take it out and seal it. And the isopods and everything else are going to be in there. And I'm going to have to figure out like a quick latch to feed them or something. So.
Yeah. While that whole thing was going on, I was talking to Layla about her cage and everything. And I was like, she said that you were taking pictures. And I was like, oh, great. That he's probably going to lose the morning gecko right away. Like I know that thing's a little squirrely. Like I won't even chance that. It's not happening. It
was close. Like I've caught like lizards in the house, and I've gone to show Jaden or one of the kids, and then it jumps out of my hand, and now the lizard's back in the house again. So I'm like, oh man. But I haven't had that happen in a while. I've been like, we have a couple people come to the house every year, and if they're from up north, Anole lizards are totally new to them. And I've gotten pretty good at just grabbing Anole lizards off of just about anything now. So I'm a little bit quicker with my reptile handling skills.
Sibley said, if someone throws a tarantula at me, they might end up dead. Glad to be back, Shrimp family. Congrats, Eater fam, on the new baby. Thank you. It's great to see you again. Jim said, my niece loves my Panda Cories. Do you get Panda Caridinas from Black King Kongs to match the Panda Cories?
I wouldn't risk Black King Kongs or Caridina with Panda Cories.
That would be
just
cool,
a little bit too big. Yeah,
but they just stress each other out because they're both bottom dwellers.
We've got some Tangerine Tigers with our Pygmy Cories, and their Tangerine Tigers are pretty big and boss, and they're still hiding like little babies. Mm-hmm. I don't ever see them in that tank.
Mark says clown pied are a nice strain of ball python. Yeah, those were cool too.
Yeah, there was one from Grandpa's Balls for only like $150, but I'm not ready for rats to be in the house.
Yeah, see, Gramps had really good prices on his, and the vendor there, the girl next to him, because she had a different company. I didn't know her name.
She was the one selling the geckos.
Yeah, crested geckos, and she had some snakes. Yeah, she had the sand boas.
Oh yeah. I have an issue, and like Jaden doesn't have this issue. I kept seeing hog noses and asking if they're sand boas.
Oh yeah, no, they're two different.
Give me like, no, you're stupid.
They're like, please don't buy one.
And I'm just like, dang it! Like,
see, yeah,
I did it twice at the show. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, because it looked like
It's
one
nice
of the
to
morphs
see
of
you
the
struggle.
sand boas that Jaden was holding. And I was
See,
like,
snakes, I'm having to learn for Jaden so that I know that I have to help him take care of these. So, like, I have to learn as well. So
I just need to look at the
crazy.
two of them right next to each other, and then I'll know. The problem is nobody has both of them. Like the people that keep sand boas and the people that keep hognose are so different.
Well, hognoses were around a lot more than the sand boas at the time, but like you can tell by the shape of their face that the hognose is sand. They are similar if you're not familiar with it. But
I'm sure. I think from looking above, they look very similar, and then when you look at the fronts of them,
it's the way it's
tell
like
them.
shaped.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
I know. When you said that,
yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm also not like
too
really
costly.
looking at them. I'm like,
see, this is the thing. We want like a decent one, just like you would for like shrimp. You want a good quality one that he can breed and make his own money eventually from it, but you don't want it too expensive when it's your first snake. You need to make sure you can do this, that you enjoy this. Like, we hate rehoming animals. Like, that's never fun. So you need to make sure, like, Layla's held a chameleon. She's been around them. She's been wanting them for years. It's not like I see this at the show, let's get it. Like, it's been, well, this is what you need to do. This is your responsibilities. Like, she's already on top of watering them. It's a lot different. Just like when we did the leopard geckos, because the snakes are going to be just as hard. So, but he is full on snake boy. So we will have a snake house for him one day.
I think he likes all the reptiles though, because he was very interested in the chameleons.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we were getting them out of the cages and stuff like that,
he loves the baby.
He wanted, well, he loves
Who colored up today.
He likes the pygmies.
Oh yeah, they're cute.
He really likes the pygmies. I know. The gecko is really for the entire house, but I bought it because it's something I wanted for a long time. But I think when I actually purchased the gecko, the kids were the cutest, lit up. They were the happiest when I had the gecko. They're like, we're actually getting this little gecko.
Mark said he entered. He said, but if I went double it and redo it, realizing I have Bloody Mary shrimp with my Bloody Mary gastromycin. What are those? Is that a plant?
I don't know. Hold on.
You have to look that up. I need to know what that is. Thank you for sending an email. Make sure you do hashtag swag for this entry.
Hillstream Loach.
What? There's Bloody Mary ones? I gotta see those.
I didn't know either.
That's cool. Those are something that I've always been interested, but I need a bigger. Those are so cool. They look photoshopped. It looks like someone took the paint marker and did the red.
Does Stephen P have these? Or maybe I'm thinking about the Panda Garo.
I don't know.
Maybe he has both though.
That is awesome though. I just feel like I need a really cool river style tank for those. That's why I never get them. I'm a sticker addict. Our kids' door is covered in stickers. We love to collect them. We should have seen the stack we got one time from Global. It was ridiculous. Stickers of cat businesses. I'm like, why do we have so many?
And then we had two people come up to us and they were like, you look really familiar. Where do I know you from? And I was like, well, you have a small YouTube channel, but more likely you saw somebody else's tour video of our house. We have 430 aquariums, da-da-da-da-da. I mentioned Fish Keeping Simple, and they're like, oh, yeah, we watch that all the time. And another one watched it from Fishery, maybe? I can't or Dan the Turtle Man.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
that one makes sense.
But the one person was like, I just can't remember your house. And when I mentioned Jaden's Nerf gun room, they're like, oh, yeah, that's you. And I was like, calm down. I'm just like you. I just have too many tanks in my house.
You're kind of lamer. Nathan said, question. I got some food off of Amazon and to try Arc Bio, right? And it has a signature on the bag. Scales, is Sam involved in any way? Is this his foods? It's not his foods, but it's a buddy of his that does inlers. and Sam has drawn like their logo. He has worked really close with them. I don't know
Sam
it is
does
with the
work
food
with them. He
in
does
some
something
way,
with
yeah.
the guppies and helps them out as
Handlers.
well. So, yeah, I'm sorry. And they're not partners, but he's in a relationship with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
He gave us some of the
they're
food
so
when it first came out. We were feeding it to our Shelleys when they were babies. It was good food.
So Mark said I got bit by a class pet hamster when I was a kid. Safe to say he wasn't coming back home with me again.
Hamsters were the first thing that I
Love
bred
hamsters.
and started making money off of when I was a kid.
I do
Hamsters were
hibiscus
my
with
first sale.
Yeah, see, I love hamsters. I think they're adorable, but holding them, I'm terrified because of that stupid guinea pig.
I only got bit by my hamster one time, and it was because it ran out, went behind my dresser, got behind the drawer, and I had to reach behind it and grab it. And I kind of like had not like squishing him badly, because if you knew how freaking small hamsters could actually squeeze into a little tiny nook and cranny, when I had to get him through the dresser and the drawer, he got a little squished and he bit me right then at that moment. But that was it. That was the only time.
I just can't take the biting. I'm just making sure the emails are coming through from Mike real quick. And then
I could do that.
Jesse said guinea pig scared me growing up with biting me, and now we have rabbits. See, like,
yeah,
I had a rabbit. He got me Nibbler, which is funny that I named it Nibbler. But that thing was like the coolest bunny ever, and I loved it so much. And like, I want a bunny, which is funny. My mom got a bunny, which she has no business having a bunny. She's already done with it. I wish she would send it to me, but I was like, Mom, please don't. Yes, Mike, I am getting your emails. They did come through. So, that is so funny. Yeah. You have a hairless cat. Oh my gosh. I want to see it. If you ever come to a show, hopefully you can bring that cat. I want to hold one. I've never been able to hold a hairless cat. Like, I want to know if I'm allergic to them. Because they're supposed to be like hypoallergenic, but usually cats, it's their dander, not
Layla's
their
not
hair.
gonna like that either.
I don't care what she likes. I want one.
At least we don't have to get
Oh, he said, I got Red Galaxy Pinto last week and Plamsky food. I just found the Plamsky magnet 5 minutes ago. Winning. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool when he's got all the magnets in his products.
It's a nice little touch.
Thank you, Caitlin. Stay correct. Anything smaller than bun is a no-go. Passing wind got the shipment in. Good to hear. Sorry, I gotta catch up. There we go. Fort Mill, South Carolina.
It's almost like when we talk about going to the show in Secaucus, New Jersey. Everybody calls it a New York show because it's right on the border.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like a 45-minute bus ride into Times Square. Like, it might as well be New York. So you might as well call it South Carolina, but it technically isn't.
Yeah. And everyone talking about the cold. Yeah, we'll never move up north because we are babies to the cold.
Oh, it's going to be so cold in South Carolina in February. Oh.
We actually have jackets, though. Thanks, Aquarium Co-op, for some jackets for Grant to wear, too. I'm even having to share my jackets with my son now. He's getting big enough that, like, my stuff is fitting him. It's insane to me. He needs to stop growing. He's getting too old.
If he would just stop leaving his jacket at school.
Yeah, no, it's not there. It's gone. I guarantee you it's gone.
Because he left it at school.
Yeah, that's what kids do. What's your opinion on max number of shrimp you can fit in a 7 by 14 inch breather bag safely for shipping?
So for priority shipping, we do about 30 shrimp. We might throw a couple extras in there, but you don't want to push 40 shrimp. Simply because what happens if there's a delay or 2-day delay, I feel much comfortable with a maximum of like 35 shrimp in the bag. If you're doing overnight, we can definitely do like 50 or 60 shrimp in the bag. But that's only if we're doing overnight shipping. And again, we're also talking juvenile shrimp, around 1 centimeter in size. If you're doing adults, you're going to want to do like a third less shrimp in the bag because they're that much bigger.
Thank you, Heather, for noticing it. It's actually been bothering me that no one has noticed. And I was laughing because like Grant's not even thinking about it. Like it wasn't anything big. A lot of people like it's big, but
I've been meaning to share it and like, post it on Facebook because it is a friend of mine from high school. I traded him shrimp to do the tattoo. Yeah. So it is a tiger shark. Jaden picked it out. I love it. I'm not one to like show off unless it's like an aquarium.
But I felt like everyone didn't notice because he's always had this tattoo. And I was no one notices it because it's just like the same on the other side. I'm
symmetrical now.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but even amount of weight.
Grant was gonna do all the kids' names, and then he was one day. I don't know what made you think of it.
Jaden's name, when you translate it, it comes out to something, but then when you translate it back to English, it comes out as Ezekiel or something like that. It's not like my name.
It was all supposed to be the Hawaiian names of our kids.
And then Layla's name is technically Hebrew, but there's a way to spell it in Hawaiian.
So then it's just misspelled.
We could have done it that way, but I'd much rather
just easier
get something that reflects them and it still means the same thing.
So Jaden is the firstborn, so he got the first tattoo, and he picks a tiger shark. Sharks are one of his favorite animals, and the tiger shark happens to be one of his favorite. It worked out really nice because Grant loves tiger sharks. And then Layla's is supposed to be her first chameleon. Now she has to choose between the two because he technically bought both of them at the same time.
Oh, I'm not getting a female. So. I'll just say that. I don't want no pink animal tattooed on me, okay?
Yeah, I can understand. She's wide awake, so just put her down and she's like, no.
Hashtag swag, by the way. We're going to give this giveaway up as soon as Shelby gets caught up.
I only have reticulated hill streams. That's so cool. I do have a Panda Gara, and I want them Bloody Marys. Yeah, that is perfect. I know, I wish we had more Bloody Marys. I wish we had more red shrimp in general. Like, we can't even breed enough red shrimp to, like, keep them around. I'm always upset because we're always sold out of them.
Next year, I think we're going to have a good, like, quarter of the new ponds be set up just for red. And they're going to be the first ponds. So that way they get the freshest water.
Oh, I still have a scar from a 9-foot albino Burmese python that missed the rat when I was feeding. Good times.
Yeah, my mom's terrified of snakes because one of her friends from work had one of the larger snakes. I'm not sure which one it was, and it missed the rabbit and hit the lady's face. So,
oh my god,
that's what my mom thinks about.
Great, that's a wonderful thing for me to go into. Like, I'm trying not to have a fear.
That's why we're getting smaller snakes. The snake was like a 10 to 14 foot snake.
Yeah, I mean, the bananas get huge.
No, they don't.
I think they get like 6 foot at least.
No.
You have to look that up. Bugsy said, yeah, I'm with you. Bit way too many times and over the rodent thing completely. That's where, like, it gets to a problem because then you got, like, a natural reaction to
Average 2 to 3 feet.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for males. Females can get up to 5 feet long, but still no 6 foot. The maximum length for an adult is 6 feet. But not all of them get that.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Are we caught up?
No one wants to own Secaucus. No, we're not even near caught up, probably.
We're close. We're 3 minutes behind. We're not a whole Rico yet.
What's the difference between ocean blue velvets and blue diamonds genetically? Can they look similar things?
Genetically, ocean blues and blue diamonds, I think, are the exact same thing. Just ocean blues are a little bit higher quality and produce less culls. And then blue velvets are like a sky blue. They're actually a beginning stage of blue dreams. So if you selected bred the blue velvets, you'll eventually get a deep dark blue resembling a blue dream. But just like the blue velvets, you still get the reds that come up from the velvet line. So the diamonds and ocean blues don't really produce that many or any reds at all. The blue velvets are also like very, very light blue compared to the other two.
And Mark said ball pythons are harmless. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. And that's why I was kind of leaning more towards like the sand boas, because they're smaller and like definitely not as aggressive. Heather Green, member for 11 months. Thank you so much. That's close to that year mark. Yay! Yep. Don't forget, if you did hit that year mark, you do have a Sam scale print that we. So talkative. You have a Sam scale print that we sit out. That is only if you've been a member for a year. But we do have them still. So if you did get that year mark and you never got your print, make sure to reach out to us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com.
And that 2-year mark will be figured out here shortly, whether it's done by Sam or if you were here the second live stream ago. I did come up with an idea that I want Alex to draw me putting little shrimp into space capsules to be rocketed off into space. So whatever one comes first, a poster or a Sam Scales print, they will be exclusive. And I mean, if you're not already a member and you want your own poster of shrimp being put into capsules and sent off into space, you better become a member now. Then it's going to be at least 2 years away.
Have a good night, Tank Girl. Have you guys tried SL Aqua TM1?
Yeah, I don't remember if that's their food or if that's their bacteria or what exactly it is, but I remember us having. I'll just pull it up real quick.
Mark says sand boas are nice, kind of derpy looking though. Yeah, yeah. I was so ready and so excited because like I saw a lot of videos of them, of like them digging down in the sand and like popping out, and I was like, oh, I have to have it. And then finding out the other day that they actually don't do well in sand. They can get it in their nose and have issues. That they're usually in aspen bedding, which is crazy. I'm like, a sand boa in aspen is like, it takes away the whole part of why I wanted it. It's like cute to crawl through the sand, but hopefully we might get one day. They're still cute. I really like them.
So this TM1 falls under that kind of snake oil line of products that I just don't feel are needed. If you're using good food and doing good water changes with good minerals, why are you adding in extra stuff to make up for it? I do feel like all the tanks where I use this TM1 or iodine or vitamin this or vitamin that and compared it side by side with other breeding tanks, I never saw any improvement. So I'm a firm believer in just do your water changes with good minerals and feed your shrimp good foods, and you don't need all of these extra additives and wasting money. Like, that's just a liquid that goes into your water and you never see any real difference out of it. Maybe some people do, but then maybe your tank's missing something that doesn't have it. Oh man, because you're using a product that doesn't have it.
How do you get the best Panda Caridinas for a tank next to my Panda quarries?
So starting off with some pandas is probably going to be your best bet, but pandas and King Kongs, it doesn't matter what kind you have. If you have extreme black King Kongs and you cross them together, chances are you're going to get 1 and 2 stripe King Kongs, and then culls would be like the pandas. But if you just breed out pandas, you're going to get a mix of 1 and 2 stripe King Kongs, and then an anomaly, or very rare, and occasionally you'll get an extreme black King Kong from them too. And you can select a breed and you'll get less and less over time, but it's still a possibility.
Do their eyes spread apart when they're adults or something? Because they look cute in person when I see them. I only see babies though, so do the do the sandboa skin. Oh, it's so funny. And Keith says baby hognose snakes are the cutest thing. I'm not a big snake. Yeah, see, they're adorable. I
Do
watch a lot
hognose
of.
only eat toads? What are the shrimp the snake that only eat toads?
I don't know. I found a couple who breeds not elephant trunk, but the other aquatic snake that's
Maybe
popular.
it's a type of hognose that only eats toads.
We're gonna have to the pug snake. Oh, get out of here, Mark. Are you on Grant's side with the pugs? I love pugs. My kids are on loving pugs too, so they're definitely gonna want a pug one day. I told them, I was like, if I get a good deal on a pug, it's coming home.
So hognoses love toads.
Love toads. Doesn't mean they live just off toads.
I swear there was maybe Mark knows, but I swear there was a snake that eats exclusively toads.
That'd be crazy. Oh, let's do this other giveaway.
Yeah, hashtag swag.
Last chance.
Last chance.
Yeah, she says it's about time to be done. You're hungry.
All right, 34 entries. Spin that wheel, Shelby.
It's not letting me.
Refresh it.
Oh, because I'm signed out again.
Oh. Killing me, Shelby.
You know what? This is not my fault.
Technically, it is your fault.
Yeah, it's my
since
fault.
You're in
I
charge of
apologize.
technical difficulties. And you're causing them.
I'm causing them. I know. The tech person that's causing all the tech issues.
I think we've covered everything from this weekend. I can't really. If anybody places an order on the website and you would like a complimentary pitcher plant, carnivorous, one of the non-hanging ones, I got you. Just let us know and I'll throw it in the box.
All right, should be good. 37 entries.
EJ. All right.
Oh,
Congratulations, EJ. If you are still here, please let us know. Otherwise, we will respin it.
See, Stephen P says it's Google's fault. It wasn't my fault.
What's Google's fault?
It signed us out.
Oh, well, yeah.
Thank you, Stephen P.
I think Google's actually perfect, and there's no way that it could be flawed.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Eastern hognose for the toads. He said they eats lots of toads, but not exclusively. Depends on their environment and what prey items are available.
When I had that kid Josh working for us, he was catching toads while we were at work because he had a snake that would only eat toads, is what he said.
Well, so yeah, you know how pea puffers are really picky.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
that's maybe what it is. But when he said Eastern hognose, and I remember being a hognose.
You're here.
We don't get nearly as many toads now that our house is surrounded by IBC toads and a fence.
Well, make sure to email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. EJ, you're still here to win that prize, a swag pack. Oh, I didn't hit the button. That might help. I'm like, what's going on? Okay, one respin. Says I use bug bites, shrimpy sticks, and rapashi for my shrimps. I'm surprised. Oh, you probably actually used the rapashi. I used it for Isopod, so I think of just powder every time I think of rapashi. But congratulations, sorry. And that was it. We're all set up.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us for this long. Appreciate every one of you. And remember, next week, we've got even more giveaways to give out. It is the holiday season, so that is what we're doing for the entire month and the first stream of the new year. So we got a couple other things that will be going out on the website. Just want to remind you, though, tonight is the last and final deals for Black Friday. Prices are going back up tomorrow. And I will not be throwing in 2 extras for every buy 5. It will be going to buy 10 and get 3 free for the holidays after tonight. But prices are going up on most of the shrimp. But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next week.
Thank
Have a
you so
great
much.
night. Bye-bye.